So I'm going to show you how to do a typical Tecumseh carburetor rebuild. This one's off a lawnmower and it has the primer bulb built into the side. First thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the main jet, which is this nut on the very bottom. 1/2 inch. It has not been opened yet. There's a little washer, usually comes off with it. Generally, when dirt gets in the carburetor, clogs up this main jet, and that causes all the troubles. It actually looks pretty clean in there. The mower's having a little bit hard time starting, so I'm just going to clean it out. There's a seal, goes around there, little rubber seal. If it looks good, it's not dried, cracked, you don't need to replace it. Set it aside. Usually I don't like to spray it with carburetor cleaner because that'll make it swell. Doesn't like to go back on good. The float, when it's closed, should sit level. This one's actually sitting a little bit down. So I will, when I put it back together, I'll bend the needle tab that pushes the needle, closes the fuel valve. I'll push it a little bit wider so it sits a little bit more level. But right now it's probably letting in a little bit more fuel than it should. First thing, let's take off the float. There's a little rod. Should just push right out. Grab some needle nose, pull it out. Some applications have a little spring that wraps around that rod. Its purpose is actually to hold the float, push it down, hold it closed. So in machines that have a lot of vibration, it helps so it doesn't flood the engine. You can pull the float out with the needle attached. Check your float real fast. Pull the needle off. If it was sitting in gas, if you shake it, if you hear any fuel sloshing around in there, you got a bad float. Generally, you can tell if you have a bad float, though, because your engine's flooding. Set that aside. This one actually looks really clean. This one is a newer model, so the idle jet is fixed. It's under this little black cover. So but we need to cut that. We need to pry that little black cover off. The main jet is fixed as well. You can't adjust it. If the main jet is adjustable, instead of being just a nut on the bottom, it'll be a nut with a threaded screw inside, and that'll let you adjust it a little bit. Pull the little rubber cap off. You can just throw that away. And then the idle jet is right there. Screw that out. It just seats in. No adjustment. And then there'll just be a little hole right in the very tip. And usually there's 1 or 2 little holes around the side. There's one. There's one. And we'll just use carburetor cleaner. Spray all that stuff out. This one actually looks really clean. Probably just has the most minute little piece of junk will cause a carburetor or an engine not to run just right. Use some handy dandy cheapo carburetor cleaner. Grab some safety glasses. Inevitably, whenever you're spraying carburetor cleaner through these carbs, it's going to spray right back in your face. I've done it hundreds of times. No matter how many times you do it, gets you. I'm going to spray right up through the main venturi, right up the middle. It goes right into the carburetor, sticks up just a little bit. You can actually, if your carburetor is really dirty, you can actually pop that out. It pushes down. You actually just grab a flathead screwdriver, push on it, push it straight down. There's your venturi right there. Usually you don't ever have to take this out. Little O-ring around the bottom. And then there are usually a couple little holes around the outside edges. plug the top, stick the carburetor cleaner nozzle up in it, and spray. And it should come out all the little holes in the sides and whatnot. So that's clean. Couple little holes that feed right down into the bowl and through little orifices, just to make sure every single passage sprays something through them. If I can get this nozzle to stay on. Then your idle circuit. It actually, right in the side where I took out that little screw, it actually goes in, and then there'll be little holes on the inside of the carburetor. Right by this throttle flap. And when you spray in there, you want to make sure stuff is coming out all those little holes. It'll also come out the bottom down here too. But move the hose around it in there. If all those holes are spraying a little bit of fluid, they're all clean. Spray in there really good. Rinse the outside a little bit. Spray all your passages. Clean everything off. Double spray off stuff, because sometimes you can push dirt back and forth. The reason they put the little cap over this idle screw is so that you don't think it's adjustable. So you know that it's not adjustable. So you don't try to leave it screwed out a little bit or something. Then you'll just leak fuel or suck air and it won't run good. Tighten it snug. I can put that little cap back on. It's really not necessary, but we'll jam that back on. There. Not adjustable. You want to make sure that your throttle circuit's free, moves good. After you're done cleaning it, it's always wise to, there's a little foam, well, kind of foamish, oil keeper up here. You want to re-lubricate that. That keeps the stale gas from making this stick